So today we're going to go over New Testament archaeology. First is the Capernaum, place where Jesus healed the servant of a centurion. There's Magdala, hometown of Mary Magdalene. And there's the denarius, in the parable of the workers in the vineyard. The landowner paid his workers a denarius for the day. And there's phylacteries, 2,000-year-old phylactery found in the Judean desert, first to be examined to determine color. There's the fig tree. Jesus curses the fig tree for not being fruitful in the Gospel of Matthew 11:13. Seeing in the distance a fig tree and leaf, he went to find out if it had any fruit. When he reached it, he found nothing but leaves, because it was not the season for figs. And there's Nain, the place where Jesus brought back to life the widow's son. The sheep pen. Sheep pens were used for safeguards from predators. Jesus refers to his people as sheep in John 10:2. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. Almontes, the place where Jesus was baptized by John the Baptist. Part 2, Roman catacomb fresco. The painting shows Jesus raising Lazarus, similar to the portrait of the right. The resurrection of Lazarus, 1857 portrait by Leon Bonnet in academicism style. There's Masada. Masada was the site of the dramatic final stand of the First Jewish-Roman War in 73 AD. The altar of Zeus. Zeus is the sky and thunder god in ancient Greek religion who rules as king of gods on Mount Olympus. Galileo inscription. Inscription that Galileo was the proconsul. Proconsul of Achaia. Ephesus Theater, largest theater in Anatolia and has a capacity of 25,000 seats. Theater is mentioned in Acts 19:28 through 29. When they heard this, they were furious, began shouting, "Great is the Artemis of the Ephesians." Soon the whole city was in uproar. People seized Gaius and Aristarchus and Paul's traveling companions from Macedonia, and all of them rushed into the theater together. Being at Corinth, where the Apostle Paul was put on trial before the Roman proconsul Gallio, Appian Way. Appian Way is the first and ancient Roman road. Maritime prison, a prison that was constructed by Ancus Marcius, is also the site of where St. Peter and Paul were imprisoned before their martyrs. Decapolis, one of the locations Jesus went to during his ministry. The Byzantine nursing home, an ancient Byzantine mosaic in Israel, which reads, "Peace on the elders." Italia Harbor is the first place Paul stopped at during his missionary journey. The temple warning inscription warned to the pagan visitors to the temple not to proceed further. The inscription reads, "No foreigner shall enter." The key inscriptions, these three inscriptions mention places visited by Paul in his first journey and help identify the locations of Iconium, Lystra, and Derbe. Derbe is where the location where Paul and his companions successfully made many disciples without facing persecution. Lystra is frequently mentioned in the New Testament as primary destination during the missionary journeys of Paul. Iconium, the place where Paul and Barnabas preached during Paul's first missionary journeys. Ignatian Way, Ignatian Way hosted Julius Caesar's troops in the Apostle Paul's missionary journeys. The Vardergate inscription lists 7 Politarchs, Sosiperados, Lycius Pontius Secundus, Aluos, Euios, Sabinos, Demetrios, Solios, Gaius, Aegilios, Butidos, and Arus. Mount of Beatitudes, the place where the Sermon on the Mount uh, could have taken place. The Roman Forum served as the bustling religious, administrative, legal, and commercial heart of the city starting in the 7th century. Roman Colosseum. The Roman Colosseum is the largest ancient amphitheater ever built. It was constructed by enslaved Jewish captives using spoils from the destruction of Jerusalem. A mikveh. Mikvahs were used for ritual purification baths. Women used their mikveh after their menstrual cycles. Men and women also immersed to restore ritual purity after various events defined by Jewish law. Circus Maximus served as a political hub where emperors interacted with the public and citizens could voice their demands. It hosted chariot races during the races. Drivers raced teams of horses around Central Barrier for 7 laps. The Erastus inscription. The inscription reads Erastus in return for his aedileship laid the payment at his own expense. Erastus is mentioned in Romans 16:23. Gaius, who is host to me and to the whole church, greets you. Erastus, the sage treasurer, and our brother Quartus greet you. The running athlete, Paul speaks about the Christian life as a race in his letters. 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. 1 Corinthians 9:24. Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one gets the prize? Run such a way as to get the prize. Patara Lighthouse. Paul went to Patara at the end of his journey, Acts 21:12. After we had torn ourselves away from them, we put out to sea and sailed straight to coast. Next day we went to Rhodes, and from there to Patara. Found a ship crossing over to Phoenicia, went on board and set sail. Beth Shemesh, the site where the Philistines returned the Ark of the Covenant, as the birthplace of Samson's early exploit. Library of Celsus. Library serves as the tomb of Gaius Julius Celsus. Ptolemais. Philippi. The city of Philippi was established by settlers from the island of Thasos, 360 BC. Mount Hanas, the mountain towers over the city of Colossae. Colossae received Paul's letter called Colossians. Thessalonica, the city was founded by King Cassander of Macedon and named after his wife, Thessalonike. Paul planted a thriving early church on his second missionary journey. New Testament Archaeology, Part 6. The Odeum. The Odeum is a small roofed ancient Roman theater that was used for musical performances and city council meetings. Hadrian Temple. Temple of Hadrian is an ancient Roman structure in Italy that was dedicated to Emperor Hadrian by his adoptive son Antonius Pius in 145 AD. Crete. Greece, where Paul sent his co-worker Titus to organize an early church. St. Titus Basilica. Basilica of St. Titus is a major 6th, 7th century ruin dedicated to Ireland's first bishop. Stone anchor. This anchor may have been just one of a few used by a small fishing vessel to keep in place. Onesimus. Onesimus was a slave to Philemon and the subject of Paul's epistle to Philemon. Cappadocia. Cappadocia is mentioned in Acts 2:9. Then how is it each of us hears them in our native language? Parthians, Medes, Elamites, residents of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, and Asia. House of Peter. This Byzantine structure is the 1st century home that may have been the house of Peter, the home of Jesus in Capernaum. Mount Tabor. Mount Tabor is one of the mountains identified as the site of transfiguration of Jesus. Basilica of St. John. Basilica was commissioned by the Emperor Justinian in the 6th century to mark the burial site of John. Cross symbol found at Laodicea. Cross symbol carved into a stone. Example of early Christian monogram. Monastery of St. John. Founded in 1088. Cora, crowned with battlements to protect against pirates. Underneath the monastery is a cave of Apocalypse, where John received his visions. Patmos is the place where John wrote Revelations. The Temple of Trajan. Temple of Trajan was built in Rome to honor Emperor Trajan and his wife Plotina. There's Megiddo. This was the place where Egyptian Pharaoh Thutmose III fought a massive coalition of Canaanite forces at Megiddo. During the Iron Age, it served as a major royal and administrative center for the Kingdom of Israel under King Solomon and King Ahab. 1 Kings 9:15. This is the reason for which the labor force which King Solomon raised to build the house of the Lord, his own house, the Millo, the wall of Jerusalem, Hazer, Megiddo, and Gazer. Wine press at Neot Kadumim, a wine press at Neot Kadumim. Wine press is referenced in Judges 6:11. The angel of the Lord came and sat down under the oak roof that belonged to Josh and Abizrai, where his son Gideon was threshing wheat in the wine press to keep it from the Midianites. Temple of Artemis. The great temple was built by Croesus, king of Lydia, about 550 BC. It's one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. There is there is danger not only that our trade will lose but its good name, but also that the temple of the great goddess Artemis will be discredited, and the goddess herself, who is worshipped throughout the province of Asia and the world, will be robbed of her divine majesty. Tools found at the Cave of Letters. Archaeologists at Cave of Letters found numerous everyday items, personal belongings, and survival tools brought by these refugees.